which matchups matter most going into Sunday's game against the Commanders. There was some, there was a clip on Twitter going around on Marshon Lattimore this morning saying, they traded me away. I'm going back to show them why they shouldn't have.
Well, there's two answers to this question. One is Marshon Lattimore. We'll start there since you said. I mean, look, that's who we want to watch. Well, we want to watch Marshon and we want to watch Jaden Daniels as football fans, as football analysts, as people interested in this game, as Southern Louisiana football fans. Marshon Lattimore has Saints ties. Jaden Daniels has LSU ties. But we'll start with Marshon Lattimore because it's going to be his first game as a Commander. Mm-hmm. The nation wants to watch him. I mean, he's been in national headlines, national reports for a long time. Will he or won't he play? And he hasn't been playing. He's finally playing this week. The only reason that's not the number one matchup to watch is because who's he covering? Like MVS? Is MVS going to get that Mike Evans rise out of him? Man, I wish it was. If this was Chris Olave versus Marshon Lattimore,
training camp all over, great.
It would be great matchup to watch in the NFL this week, I think.
Right.
But yes, how motivated Marshon Lattimore is, how big of a difference maker Lattimore is, how much Lattimore ruins Jake Hayner's big day. We've always talked about the games that Lattimore gets up for. Mm-hmm. He's unstoppable. Mm-hmm. The Mike Evans games. Sometimes when he faces mediocre talent, you feel like, hey, somebody needs to wake Marshon up. But I feel like he'll be motivated for this game. Not only that he's been waiting, 6 weeks or whatever since the last time he played, back in the Superdome, first chance to impress the Commanders. That's a team trying to secure a playoff spot. I think we're going to see a motivated Marshon Lattimore, and I'm really eager to see. I'm really eager just to watch him play. We've always liked watching him play. He was our number one player on this roster until he wasn't on the roster.
When he was on the roster. But a word that you said in that just stuck out to me, not only with Marshon, but it's really pretty applicable to Jake also, motivated. And what's the fuel behind that motivation? Spite. Look, I'm only 24 years in the game, but I really do think that spite is the greatest motivator out there. Because, man, just the doubt across the board of certain things, Jake being able to go out and say, well, they didn't choose me the first time. Let me show them why that was a mistake.
Yeah.
And then even Marshon right now they traded me away.
That one. Well, I raised an eyebrow at that line. They traded me away. I want to prove them wrong. You were like handing them the card, telling them what number to send the card to. You were liking posts about being traded this offseason. Look, I don't. Obviously, there was just a divide and a disconnect. He never demanded a trade, but he was a willing conspirator in the process that led to him ultimately being traded. So I don't know. I don't know if he's looking for motivation or how much slight he feels for sure. But
yeah, but I do think, man, if it was good on good, it would have been. Not saying that MVS and them aren't good, but it was top strength against top strength. I think that it would be an incredible matchup. Even Derek Carr, if he was in that quarterback, just that, I don't know, man. That I've been talking about the past couple weeks that Carr picked Marshon. We were waiting to see it because even Marshon, he didn't practice too much during training camp because he was out with that hip flexor injury. But just to be able to see that is good. But what other matchups?
The matchup in this game is pretty obvious. It's Jaden Daniels specifically. It's the Commanders' run game overall. This is a team that has number 4 offense in yards per game, number 3 in rushing yards per game, and this has been a pretty lousy run defense. Now, look, they showed some signs against the Giants. They held the Giants' running backs in check. Funny enough, they couldn't stop Drew Lock from scrambling. But obviously, they weren't game planning to stop Drew Lock. They will be game planning to stop Jaden Daniels. We've talked about this for years. When the Saints used to be going 13-3 and being a 1 seed and a 2 seed, they were having trouble stopping mobile quarterbacks. They did all right against Jalen Hurts earlier this year, but Jaden Daniels is second. He's got a few more rushing yards than Jalen Hurts. He's second in the league among all quarterbacks in rushing yards this year. He's dynamic. He's electric.
Right.
Brian Robinson Jr. is now healthy. He had the bye week to get healthier. He's been one of the better running backs in the league this year. Like I said, the number 3 rushing team in the NFL. And the Saints have had to show over and over again that they can stop the run. And Washington should be able to keep running. The best way to stop a team from running is to get a lead and build a lead, and we don't think that's going to be hard for the Saints to do. So they're going to have to stop the run for all 4 quarters in this game. And frankly, that's why I'm going to pick the Commanders to win this game, because I don't think the Saints have not demonstrated that they can handle a matchup like this so far this year.
A couple of different pieces, but even last year, you talk about Tyson Bagent coming in, and he was scrambling. He was scrambling around. And I was like, man, Saints are really lucky this is not Justin Fields, because at the time he was their top option in Chicago. But, I mean, Jaden Daniels, he won the Heisman off his legs. Like, this is what this guy does. And we were doing the fresh picks for Rouse's. Y'all should check those out on our Instagram account. And, I mean, bro, 62 yards, I think he's going to get that. I highly think he's going to get that. And, yeah, there's going to be some people out there that's like, oh, well.
He might do it in one play. The way they've been giving up explosives this year.
Hopefully not. But, you're right. The way that they have been just leaky kind of all year with those big old plays, it might come through the air. It might come through the ground. You just have to be prepared for everything. And I think another matchup going into it, we've been talking about it the last couple of weeks, is the secondary with Kool-Aid and Alontae Taylor. And last week, they both kind of were tested a little bit by Malik Neighbors. But, I mean, going into this game, you got Terry McLaurin coming in here. What are you going to do? What do you think they'll be able to?
Well, speaking of Olave, I mean, Olave used to be compared to McLaurin all the time. They're really close. McLaurin's been having a breakout year. Jaden Daniels has kind of injected life back into his career. Not that it was completely quiet, but they've been a dynamic combo this year.
Consistent quarterback play.
And, for a defense that seems to give up that one big play every single week, I mean, doesn't it just feel like there'll be one long Jaden Daniels run and one long pass from Daniels to McLaurin? That's kind of the Commanders' MO this year, too, is they have those 2 killer plays every week that leads to their explosiveness. So for a team that's done that all year, holding those 2 in check for all 60 minutes would be really tough. And look, I mean, we could do the matchups to watch segment. We can already write it in pen for the next month, that it's always going to include Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid McKinstry, because those are 2 guys we just need to keep finding out about. They were really good for most of the Giants game. They both had one let-up moment. But, those are 2 guys that especially if all we care about is 2025, we want to watch Kool-Aid McKinstry and Alontae Taylor every single week. Another matchup I'll throw in there is the reverse. The Saints run game against Washington. Washington's ranked 28th against the run. The Giants were 29th against the run last year, and they couldn't run against last week, and they couldn't run against them. But they get to push the reset button. Clint Kubiak gets to figure out what he did wrong. This offensive line with a healthy Eric McCoy and a healthy Lucas Patrick and a healthy Cesar Ruiz and Tali Fogg and Trevor Penning, all 5 starters healthy. Alvin Kamara healthy, came back to practice after missing 2 days with illness. Kendre Miller, second week back. Jake Hayner's best friend. I mean, can they run the ball? Can Alvin get to a 1,000-yard season in the Dome against, and I don't really know why Washington's that bad against the run. They have Bobby freaking Wagner as their middle linebacker. Obviously, a little past his prime, but still Bobby Wagner. Frankie Louvu they signed from the Panthers, and he's been good as a pass rusher, as well as making tackles from the weak linebacker position. So, Deron Payne, I'm not sure what his status is for the game. They drafted Johnny Newton. So they've got some talented guys in their front 7, but that has been a weakness for them.
Yeah, it's been a weakness for them for sure. And even we're going to get more into AK talk a little bit later in the show, but there's personal milestones on the line. There's an offensive line who was healthy last week, couldn't really get a lot of things going in the run game. That has to come in the Dome and show. We talked about it the other day about the Saints being 7-point dogs. Man, you're in the – like, you got to restore this Dome. It has to be restored, and these are the steps you take towards it. I mean, this season pretty much been a lot of elevator up and down, but it all starts 1-0. They always say that, try to go 1-0. So this is an opportunity to do that.